Good evening. Good evening. Thanks very much. Sorry to interrupt the wonderful networking and discussion that's been happening this evening. It's great to have you all here in your Scottish Parliament. My name's Ben McPherson. I'm the member of the Scottish Parliament for the Edinburgh Northern and Leith constituency, and I'm really pleased to have been asked by SEPA on behalf of all the partners involved this evening to host this really important event and celebration. I'm delighted that there are so many fellow members of the Scottish Parliament in attendance tonight, as well as yourselves. Given we're a wee bit behind time, I'm not going to list every one of my colleagues who are here, but we've got really good representation across all the parties. So it's great to see so many colleagues, and some will also come in and out throughout this evening. And I'm absolutely delighted as well that my colleague, the Cabinet Secretary for Wellbeing, Economy, Net Zero and Energy, Mary McCallan, is with us this evening, and you'll be hearing from her shortly. All of you who are Vibes partners and sponsors, winners and competitors from across Scotland, representatives of trades, associations and other stakeholders, this is your evening, and it's brilliant that you're here in the Scottish Parliament as part of the wider programme and of course for tonight's events. The winners come from across Scotland and from a wide variety of sectors, and I'm also grateful to MSP colleagues who are here tonight and more widely across the Parliament who've reached out to potential participants in their areas, and tonight of course is part of that amplification as well. I know that the event tonight marks the opening of the competition, and that potential entrants have until the 12th of April this year to submit entries, so mark that if you already aren't aware of it. And I know that we have an external audience online, and you can pose your questions in the chat function on YouTube, and we will take a representative sample at the point when we've got our panel and our questions. So I hope that sets the scene. I hope you're ready for a really good set of presentations and then further discussion later on. So without any further delay, I'm delighted to start off by introducing Mary McCallan, the Cabinet Secretary for Wellbeing, Economy, Net Zero and Energy.
Thank you very much, Ben, for the introduction, and to all of you for being here tonight. It's my pleasure to join you and to have the opportunity to celebrate the quite brilliant minds that have been celebrated in the Vibes Awards of 2023. A set of awards which I understand have been running since 1999. Which, of course, is the same year that this great building that we are in tonight was reconvened. As Ben said, I've got the great pleasure of being the Cabinet Secretary, newly with responsibility for Scotland's economy and setting that right alongside net zero and energy. And interestingly, these are sometimes topics which are presented to me as being in conflict with one another or somehow irreconcilable, but I couldn't disagree more, actually. And the winners that we are here to celebrate, they embody that, as far as I'm concerned. They have all demonstrated an exceptional commitment to sustainability and to reducing pressures on our natural environment, pressures which we all know are increasingly acute. But I think in doing so, they have set a really important example to organisations right across Scotland and further afield as well. That example being that our natural world is exceptionally precious, that we all have a responsibility to protect it, and that our business community are key players when it comes to doing what's needed to the exclusion of others. But I want to pull out a few. Reblade, who I've had the opportunity to meet in the past few years, They won the Vibes Best New Business Award, and I think they're an excellent example of that coalition that I was talking about. Based in Glasgow and Dumfries, they've pioneered a system of and recycling wind turbines so that these disused blades don't become a waste product. And I think that when you consider the growth of onshore wind and now increasingly offshore in recent years, how important it is that we have good end-of-life uses for products like that. They are showing, I think, in practice, that modern and sustainable circular economy, which certainly the government are pursuing. Alongside Reblade are the winners of the Service in Scotland Award, the Alapa Explorers, which my cabinet colleague Marie Goujon were waxing lyrical about earlier. They come from Harpatch in Brecon, and they help school pupils to learn about survival skills, biodiversity and knowledge that will benefit them and, of course, Scotland and the planet in years to come. And I was just reflecting in some of our conversations before starting that it's certainly my experience that young people are the most enthusiastic guardians of our natural world. And I often think back to when you were in primary school yourself and you'd have those days when someone would come in and talk to you about these things, and they truly stay with you for life, and for many people they go on to shape their careers. I also want to say a special word for the overall Vibes winners for 23, the company Ember, based in Edinburgh. They have broken new ground, creating the UK's first all-electric inner-city bus, further supporting the decarbonisation of Scotland's transport sector. And we don't need to rehearse how important that is, because transport, on the one hand, is our single greatest greenhouse gas emitter, but on the other, is an absolutely crucial enabler of our economy and society, and therefore finding solutions to decarbonise it is essential. Now, these are just a few examples, but they give the flavour of the fantastic work that was on display in 23 and has been since 99. At the same time, they show that snapshot of the leadership that's being shown right across Scotland. And I just want to take a moment to say that that leadership is something that the Scottish Government and I personally hugely value, because, as we all know, and as I said, business really are a key partner when it comes to the quite significant challenge that we have in front of us of decarbonising our economy and society right across the piece. As well as that, as well as the cold, hard emissions reduction at the pace that we require it, business are also absolutely essential to realising the economic and social benefits of the transition that's in front of us. And so, as we pursue our ambitions for Scotland's economy and environment, I just want to stress this evening that the Scottish Government understands the need to work with business, and actually it goes further than that. We don't have a monopoly on ideas. We need your ideas to help us to achieve Scotland's targets. So I don't want to say too much, because tonight is principally about hearing from the innovators themselves. But I want to take the opportunity to say a few thank yous. First of all, to everybody who's been involved in organising tonight's event and the competition more generally. In particular, I want to thank all of those who've helped to deliver, support or judge the awards, including, of course, Scotland's environmental regulator, SEPA, with whom I had a long meeting earlier, and we're both still here, standing. I'm also very grateful to the multitude of sponsors who have helped to support this competition, and I think some of their names were on the board earlier. I had a word with STV as we were coming in. They've done a brilliant job in supporting the awards and helping to publicise the work of those involved. And as Ben did, I want to take a moment to encourage those in the room, those across the country, to consider applying for the 2024 awards. As Ben said, they open tonight. If you've got a story to tell it. Ears are open and ready to listen. And finally, before closing, most importantly of all, I want to thank everybody who contributed and put forward their ideas to this competition. Your work is demonstrating that our economy can flourish, and we can protect our natural environment, and we can lower carbon emissions hand in hand. It's very much my view that the twin crises of climate change and nature loss are crises of existential proportion. They are happening here, they are happening now, and everybody involved with Vibes has chosen to turn their innovative minds to finding the solutions to these numerous challenges that we face. So I truly want to thank you for the effort, the example that you've set, for the difference that you continue to drive in our environment, but equally in our economy and for our society. I'm very clear, tackling climate change is an environmental and a moral imperative, but done correctly, it can also be perhaps the single greatest socio-economic opportunity that Scotland has had in a very, very long time, and you're helping us to seize that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary, and we're all livened and inspired by what you've said there as the Cabinet Secretary leading in this area, and we thank you for your time. I know you can't be with us for the whole evening, but really pleased that you've been able to be here to address us, and also to hear a bit more, as we all are going to now, about that innovation, about that creativity, about that leadership. So we're now going to show a number of short videos of some of the companies involved, and just three, and I'm really pleased that this will help us in our discussion thereafter, which is we're going to have a panel up here and you'll be able to ask some questions. So the first video that we're going to see an insight of this company shows a business taking leadership in the wind energy generation waste sector, seizing the opportunity to use the circular economy, as has been said, and those principles when it comes to wind energy turbine blades. So I'm pleased to first of all introduce the video for RSE.
So at RSE we have a net zero route map. Our net zero target is 2030 for operational net zero and 2035 for absolute net zero.
One of the solutions we're looking at to reduce the diesel emissions is to utilise HVO, hydrotreated vegetable oil. We're already using that on a number of sites across Scotland, and that reduces our diesel-related emissions by up to 80 to 90%.
I think that collaboration is a key theme when working towards net zero and anything sustainability related.
A lot of the solutions that we've come up with have been in collaboration with clients. The HVO solution came from one of our clients, but it's been rolled out across their portfolios in Scotland, and we're looking at developing it more for our own vehicle fleet. We're already using it on site.
So to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, we've installed a variety of solar panels across the business. To date, we've installed 370 kilowatts of solar panels, which saves approximately 51 tonnes of CO2 per year.
Yeah, we've been working with Rocher Engineering for a number of years now. We've continued to work with them as their business is growing and also as our business is growing, and we now last year supported them installing almost 1,000 solar panels across their portfolio, as well as working on them with installation projects.
RSE were awarded the Energy Transition Scotland Award, which is in recognition of the efforts that we've put in to reduce our energy reliance on energy from the main electrical suppliers. We've installed 370 kilowatts of solar panels, as well as a biomass boiler over the last 7 or 8 years.
The biomass boiler was installed in 2016 and has since saved 220 tonnes of carbon. So it's really important that we gather all the data to calculate our scope emissions, to understand where we're at as a business, and to understand the journey that we need to go on to achieve net zero, and understand the full extent to where our emissions come from, so we can really tackle them from the source. And it's reassuring for our clients, for our stakeholders, that RSE are really making moves towards net zero, and it's important to evidence this along our journey.
fantastic, and there was a slight mismatch in my notes there, so apologies. Now we're going to hear about the circular economy innovation of Reblade. Thank you.
Reblade's a business which primarily is involved with the decommissioning of wind turbines across the UK and wider Europe. So the minute a client contacts us and says we've got wind farm derived glass fibre material, be that a blade or a nacelle, what do we do with it? That's where our circular practices really kick in then, because the way we cut it and transport it is circular focused then. So it's actually not just a material solution, it's the actual decommissioning, the downsizing is circular economy focused as well.
Standing underneath one of our blade-derived shelters that's going to be covering electric vehicle charging infrastructure. And that's a great story because it's closing the loop. Those blades generated a significant amount of green energy. They've now come down and they're covering us, taking green energy to charge our electric vehicles and closing that loop.
Current or proposed recycling processes for glass fibre involves energy-intensive, destructive processes. To try and shred a blade down to something like a 40mm size will take a lot of energy. Now we're not saying that that should not happen at some point in time, but again, implementing a hierarchy means that you can minimise a lot of that additional energy use by using the material strengths which are found within it.
So within renewables, the composite materials are by design very light, aerodynamic, they're designed on purpose to last a long time, and that's for good reason, because you want to generate for as long as possible clean green electricity. We've had a lot of recognition because we won the Vibes Award, and it's something that I'm really proud of, particularly within my own group of peers. When I go right back to my contemporaries from university, engagement with the organisations like SEPA they're well established and well understood. So to receive this award, people know who it's from. It's a badge of honour.
And last but not least in our videos, to give an overview of Vibes and set the context for the panel discussion, present the video on RI Cruden.
I'm Callum Cruden, Director here at RI Cruden. We're a mechanical, electrical and renewable contractor based in Inverness. We install all types of renewable technologies, be it heat pumps, solar PV, battery storage and electrical vehicle chargers. The most popular ones being heat pumps and solar PV. Heat pumps are an alternative to oil and gas traditional heating systems, and they're classed as a low carbon heat alternative because they use electricity to run. Renewables isn't something that's new to us. We've been specialising in it since 2010. We installed our first solar PV system. Since then, we've installed over 300 megawatt hours of generation and saving over 2 million kilograms of CO2 as well. We're very proud of our award-winning apprenticeship programme here at RI Cruden. About 25% of our current workforce are apprentices or graduates at different stages, so they're normally a 4-year programme, and we cover 4 different trades. So across that we have a lot of different apprentices at each level, and 7 of them won awards last year, so we must be doing something right. We work closely with developing young workforce. We go into schools on various career events, career days, and speak to secondary school pupils and showcase what we do and what it actually looks like. Some of the best enjoyments I get from work is with the training apprentices and seeing them coming in on day one when they're very green around the ears and can't do all that much, and then seeing what they're like in 4 years' time and going on and becoming a really important part of our team. I think definitely there is a bit of hype around renewables. I don't think everybody necessarily knows exactly what that means. So it's breaking down that barriers and explaining what the opportunities are, what exactly it looks like to work in that industry, and what exactly we do here. For the next 20 years, well, nobody really knows what it's going to hold. Hopefully, some more growth for the business, and ultimately helping more businesses reduce their carbon and help the worldwide crisis that we have.
Okay, those were excellent, and I hope they've stimulated some thinking for discussions, because I'm really now pleased to invite our panel up, which includes Lucas Bergman from Synap, and Scott Brewster from Brewster Brothers, George Kyle from Tennant Caledonian Brewers, Jordan Lynch, the Alba Explorers Limited, and Catherine McWilliam from the IOD. If you'd all like to come up and take your seats, that would be much appreciated. And I'm also very pleased to invite up Simon Brooks, the Strategic Planning Manager for NatureScot, to facilitate the discussion. Over to you, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you, and it's great to be here. So, as I said, I'm Simon Brooks from NatureScot, Scotland's nature agency. You're not come here to listen to me, though, and if I could borrow the Cabinet Secretary's words, you know, we want to hear the views of others, and I think we've got a very interesting and great panel with experience who are keen to share their views with you tonight. So I'm just going to ask the panel members to introduce themselves and explain what made them enter the Vibes Award. What was it that attracted them to do that? What was their motivation? I'm going to start on my right with you, Scott, if you can offer first.
Right, good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Brewster. I'm Managing Director of Brewster Brothers. We're a third-generation family business in resource management, and we specialise in recycling construction and demolition waste and turning that into relatively high-value recycled aggregates which we've sold back into the construction industry. We've been going for about 5 years now. We've expanded to 2 sites, just recently opened our second site in Cumbernauld with our original site in Livingston. Inspiration to apply to Vibes, I think back in 2019 we originally applied. I'm lucky not to win, but we were finalists. So I guess that gave us the burning desire to keep on trying. But originally I think it was seen as a great accolade to try and attain. I think it's quite notorious how rigorous the application process is. You have the application itself, a panel that comes out to see you at your site, and then thirdly the judging panel. So 3 rounds of deliberation really sets it apart, I think, in terms of awards. So as I say, we were finalists in 2019. We won the Outstanding Achievement Award in the COVID-impacted online version in 2021, and luckily finally managed to win the Circular Scotland Award last year.
So perseverance pays off. Yeah. Lucas.
Yes, hello, good evening. My name is Lucas Bergman. I'm Head of Product Management and Regulatory Affairs at Sunamp. So I'm responsible for our product portfolio. We are a manufacturer of residential and commercial and industrial thermal storage systems, all the way from hot materials for having your shower, for example, or storing energy for your shower, to cold materials to store energy for cooling applications. We are based a bit east of here in Tranent, or near Tranent, in McMurray, where we have our manufacturing and headquarters facilities. And really what made us apply for the award was that we wanted to showcase the innovation that Scotland has in renewable energy and renewable energy storage as well. It is actually, Edinburgh is a hotbed of companies that are working on both electrical and thermal storage systems to decarbonize heating and industrial processes. And we saw the Vibes Award as a great vehicle to showcase how strong Edinburgh or how strong Scotland itself is in this area.
Right, thank you. Jordan?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jordan Lynch. I am one of the directors of the Alba Explorers. The other director, my brother's here in the audience, so get a chance to say hi when you can. We are an outdoor and environmental education company. We work in the northeast of Scotland. We're a family-run business. It's myself, my younger brother Josh, my wife Leah, and my brother's wife Hannah. And we are a very small outfit compared to some of you guys. We definitely feel like the small guys here. Our company is just 7 of us, and we work with about 40 different schools across the northeast of Scotland, doing outdoor and environmental education. So that's everything from teaching self-reliance techniques in the outdoors, like shelter building, fire lighting, making natural cordage, all these things that you'd associate with survivalists and bushcrafters. But we also talk a lot and have projects in permaculture and growing things and really tying in communities to understand where their food comes from and how they might be able to get green fingers and be involved in the growing process. We applied for the award, I guess, because we feel like there's a little bit of a lack of understanding and opportunity of the importance of outdoor and environmental education in Scotland. When you think of the wildest place in the United Kingdom, you think of Scotland, right? You think of the mountains and the seas and the lochs and all these things. But we don't really seem to have a lot of outdoor education going on in the schools. And our shared values as brothers meant that we understood the significance of outdoor education, of spending time in the outdoors, and we know the social benefits that it can have. We know the benefits it can have to individuals and their development. So we really wanted to showcase that, to show other people outside of our area where we're working currently that this can be a really, really great way to do education.
Right, and I can see the enthusiasm coming through there.
Yes, thank you.
George.
Hi, I'm George Kyle. I head up sustainability at Tennant Caledonian Breweries. Delighted and proud to be sitting with these guys. Some of you may have heard my stick over the years. Tennant's is one of the oldest businesses in Scotland. We're nearly 500 years old. The sustainability is part of our DNA. The Tennant's family were offering social housing and apprenticeships and healthcare and pensions to their employees back in the day. Tennant's Lager has been around since 1885. It's only ever made in Glasgow. It's made with the finest Scottish barley and the Highland water from Loch Katrine. We look to continue the sustainability of that business. We're a key player in hospitality. We're the largest distributor to hospitality in Scotland, and obviously tourism is such a lifeblood of future. We have, in terms of the brewery itself, we're in the heart of Glasgow. We're constricted in terms of our space, but we've spent tens of millions of pounds on sustainability initiatives, everything from anaerobic digestion to heat recovery to carbon capture to moving out of plastic packaging. And we make no bones about it. It drives commercial benefit. And if we were shy in the past, and I think a lot of people who stepped into sustainability were shy about talking about the commercial benefit, and we make absolutely no bones about it, because if it delivers commercially, we'll do more sustainable programmes. Why did we enter? Well, we entered a number of years, going back a long number of years, and part of the reason was we've worked with all the bodies who create Vibes. We've worked with SEPA, we've worked with Scottish Water, we've worked with Scottish Enterprise, we've worked with Circularity Scotland. They built the profile of the awards, and we see it as absolute validation of the efforts that we're making, and we're hugely proud to be acknowledged for those efforts.
Great endorsement there, and also that you two sitting next together shows that it's relevant to such a range of business sizes there. So, Catherine, not a winner.
No.
But you come to it with a different lens. Please tell us.
I do, thank you. Yes, no, sadly, I'm not clever enough or innovative enough to have even applied for, let alone won, a Vibes Award. It is really an honour to be able to sit here and say that I do have a great many members who have, though. One of them just featured in your last case study there, and Callum Cruden is one of our sustainability ambassadors who is out there banging the drum about the importance of sustainability in business. And I think from an IOD point of view, we've absolutely covered the socio-economic impact and benefits of being more sustainable when it comes to doing business. But I think the Cabinet Secretary touched upon something equally important when she talked about the moral obligation. And I think for the Institute of Directors, a membership organisation supporting best governance and good leadership, we absolutely have that moral obligation to make sure that leadership is there in our cross-sector, cross-industry organisations to support awards such as this one. So it's a real pleasure to be here doing just that.
And how long have you been involved supporting it, the IOD?
I think we've been supporting the awards for as long as I've been there, which is about 3 years. And you know, we have had at least every year 2 winners in the members, so it's good.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay. Right, so over to the questions now. Who wants to be brave, put their hand up, and offer the first challenging question for our experienced panel? Please don't be shy. Yes. There's a microphone just come in.
John McCroskey from Zero Waste Scotland. We've also had the pleasure of supporting this over the years. I suppose you're all brilliant examples of adopters. So I suppose I'm less interested in hearing what you would say, but what would you say to your own sectors to encourage others to come forward and do the things that you're doing?
Who wants to talk about their sector first? Let's go to the aggregates sector.
I think the reason for applying is, I guess, you know, the profile it gives you if you are lucky enough to be a winner. We generally deal, you know, construction has a long supply chain. We generally deal with subcontractors of the main developers. So I think it's really helped us give us a profile with the main contractors and the house builders. And actually, following the final last year, we've had approaches from the likes of Calla Homes, McLaughlin and Harvey. You know, we've never heard about you before, but we'd love to work with you. We're just so far away from them in the supply chain that they haven't seen us before. So it's given us that profile. Funnily enough, we've worked on many Calla sites. They just don't know that. So there's a lot of good work going on as well that's not being passed up the supply chain. The developer at the end of the day would love to know about and to shout about. So it's been great for that, being a Vibes Award winner.
We need one of those signs on the construction site afterwards saying this used recycled aggregate or something, so people will appreciate that. Yeah. George, you talked about you didn't shy away from the commercial side. Is that what you'd be saying to your sector?
Yeah. Again, supply chain and collaboration. It works in so many ways. The collaboration around sustainability, the sharing of knowledge, setting standards, providing examples across brewing and drinks and hospitality. So many of our trade bodies, members come together and share that best practice, which is great at raising the standards. In terms of the supply chain, we're a wine importer. We deal with literally thousands of wine producers globally. Without getting too technical, because it's beyond my remit and understanding of relying these geniuses across here, but in terms of scope 3, 95% of our emissions sit in our supply chain. So the collaboration with largely these wine growers, again, not just in terms of driving emissions reductions and what measures they're taking, but ensure ethical and sustainable practices are built in to our suppliers and gaining that knowledge. But again, it's a collaboration, because we can reward them, we can educate them, we can learn from them. So that's got to be a huge focus for us going forward.
And can I ask all the panel? I probably should sit down actually. in your sectors, I mean, is it proactive in sharing this and sort of taking that lead to show what an award like Vibes can do for you? Or do you wait for people to come to you and ask? I mean, Catherine, you've got lots of members.
I could jump in there because actually, so I mean, one of the things that we hear consistently is that our members are very aware of net zero targets, and really, thankfully, the majority of them are absolutely committed to working towards achieving those. What they need is further information and support on the how. How do you get there and how do you do it? We hear consistently that people can't afford to get it wrong financially, but there's also great concerns about what happens if you get it wrong reputationally. So we have, as have other business member organisations, really committed to looking at showcasing best practice and good examples, but also perhaps creating the conditions where you can have the conversations about maybe what didn't work and what did go wrong, so that other people don't make the same mistakes. And again, just to use Callum as an example, he just hosted an event in Inverness at a distillery just off Ness Walk about 2 weeks ago, and we had about 60 individuals in the room where we were showcasing great examples of sustainable business and what that looked like. We've got an entire roadshow of events taking place across Scotland, and we are being inundated with requests from people to be able to be in the room and hear from those that are slightly further ahead on their journey and able to share those best practice examples. So I think it's critically important that we showcase, we highlight, and we recognise.
Yeah, because everyone needs to do it. Okay, thanks. I'm going to move on to another question now, if that's okay. Anyone on this side? Have anyone on this side yet? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Victoria Derbyshire from the University of Edinburgh. You discussed there around the importance of collaboration. Would you be able to share some examples from all of the panel members of where silos have potentially got in your way of collaborating and how you've broken down those silos to progress towards your sustainability goals?
Who would like to lead? Some of you work with universities, haven't you? I think it's part of your sort of innovation approach. Maybe that's something to share.
Yeah, so at SunAmp we have, in terms of our innovation, we've worked very, very closely with Edinburgh University, the School of Chemistry, in developing our world-leading phase change material, P58, and are continuing to work with them at the moment on other materials. But in terms of collaboration on sustainability and moving forwards the agenda of our environmental goals, we have actually been working together with Business Green and who organised placements, and it was one of the placements at SunAmp who actually worked a lot on the application for this award. He has moved on to SSE, unfortunately for us, but that is that's the way of the world. No, and I think these forums where you can see what's available and what other people are doing, they are super important to give you a bit of inspiration and a bit of help along the way, because a lot of businesses, I think, are basically sitting there and they're staring up at the mountain and they're not quite sure what the first step should be and how they should pace themselves. And I think getting examples from other companies is really, really important.
And Jordan, you're slightly different, I think, from some of the other more mainstream. Was that a punt, or were you looking across the board and thought there's an opportunity here, others aren't quite doing it in the way that you want to do it?
Yeah, so interestingly, my background's in geology, so I did a stint as a geologist, and when I was starting a family, I realised that continuing in geology was going to take me away from my family. I didn't want that to happen, didn't want to be all around the world for many months of the year. I did a stint working at my wife's school in, as a family support worker, and it was during that time engaging with other professionals in outdoor education that I realised that there was so much more that could be done in education across Scotland to engage children with the outdoors. I saw how providers would come in and they would do something that on the face of it was very minimal, very easy to get done, and the response to it from the children socially, in terms of their confidence and their resilience, would just be huge. So that was kind of the impetus for us getting started in the education sector. Originally, when we started the company up, we just knew that we wanted to work together as brothers and we wanted to be in the outdoors. We thought that we would do tours in the north of Scotland and the Highlands. How things change when you see an opportunity, right? And so within a few short years, we were able to become the largest provider of outdoor education in Angus. We work with over 50% of the schools there now, and we've barely spent a penny on advertising. It's all been through word of mouth, because parents talk to parents, teachers talk to teachers, and whole communities get involved, and they see the difference that spending time in the outdoors makes to their children. Young boys who maybe struggle with ASN or ADHD or anything like that, the amount of time that they spend in the outdoors really positively impacts how they're able to pay attention in the classroom, how they're able to be with their parents and their siblings at home. And we get messages pouring in from parents and teachers all the time, just saying that they think that the time that they've spent in the outdoors with us has been the major factor in how their behaviour has improved across the board.
Very inspiring. I can say, Scott, you've also worked, I think, with innovative, with taking your project forward with universities, haven't you?
Yeah, so we, about 20%, 20 to 25% of what comes in the door is actually a residual waste, so the silt and clay. We found that we couldn't really do a lot with that apart from using it as a sort of backfill material or restoration material. So we embarked on a knowledge transfer partnership funded by Innovate UK with Heriot-Watt University to try and develop a higher value product out of that. And that finished in October last year. I can't say too much actually, because it was a success. It was a success, and we're actually going to apply for a patent, so we can't say too much more about that. But that's one example. I think second example would be there's a lot of greenwashing out there in the market, unfortunately, and a lot of scepticism that goes with that. So third-party verification is a big thing, and working with universities or not-for-profit organisations to get a rubber stamp third-party verification, impartial, so that you've got a robust certificate to show your potential customers when that bit of cynicism creeps in.
And are there any barriers you've had to overcome in convincing people to work, with you on the academic side or with any of the NGOs, when you go and engage with them, or are they just very open to do that with you?
No, there's more and more questions asked, and quite rightly, in construction it's a risk-averse industry. People can die at the end of the day if things go wrong in terms of fire or collapse, and we've seen the RAC episode coming through the news recently. Customers are quite rightly asking for certifications, as they always would, but third party, and making sure that carbon saving that you're publicising is real.
Okay, thanks. Have we got another question? At the back there.
Hi, I'm Craig Anderson from University of Stirling. Pretty much every speaker has talked about social impact and environmental impact together. And I'm interested to get some views as to why those two things go hand in hand, what brings them together, but also what makes them different.
Who would like to go first with that?
I'll take that. I think we often become guilty as a species of separating ourselves from our environment, which I think is a really bad way to conceptualise the world. We ultimately are a species that exists on the planet, and how we live, how we choose to act, dictates what our environment is going to be like. So for us, our main reason for wanting to, I guess we had two main reasons for wanting to go into this line of work. First, we were concerned about social decline in Scotland. Second, we were concerned about environmental decline in Scotland. The great thing is that you can kind of attempt to fix those two things at the same time, because dysfunctional people are poor stewards of the environment around them. So if you can work with people, you can help them have confidence in themselves. you can help them see that they have a future, see that they have potential, believe in themselves, and rather than foster this atmosphere of worry about the climate, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, we can't be using these things, we can't be using those things. If you teach them and show them that the environment is this thing that's worthy of love, because all that it can do for you, if you teach people that they can find access to better mental health, access to better physical health when they spend time in the outdoors, they are going to want to preserve the environment that they live in. Ultimately, people and nature are going to thrive together.
Yeah. From our perspective, manifests itself in a number of ways. As I say, we're the largest supplier to hospitality in Scotland. We consider it one of our strengths, our distribution network. We supply anybody's products, so it's not just tenants. But if we can fill our lorries with everybody else's products and deliver them to hospitality venues, it takes other vehicles off the road. So while we're trying to compete on price and service, if we can articulate and make that story real about the environmental impact of having one delivery, one rota for your staff, one invoice, one settlement, as opposed to multiple staffs, multiple drops, multiple lorries, it makes a huge difference. And more what we've got to do is try and find those linkages where it will deliver sustainably, but also deliver commercially, because it just fuels itself. If it does both, it will happen more frequently and it'll happen more often.
And Catherine, presumably from your members you hear, they will talk about the environmental issues alongside social, alongside business, economy. They're all the package, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think it's in the not too distant past. You know, we looked at kind of net zero and sustainable business as a nice to have rather than a have to have. But, you know, you just need to look at the data and our own lived experience of what's happening around us to know that it is a have to have. We need to do something about it. And again, it comes back to that leadership impetus. You know, if you as a leader are recognising the opportunities that come from doing business sustainably and about reassuring your staff and your employees about you are on this, you are part of this kind of, you know, tackling this global issue, then you're going to have a happier, more satisfied, valued workforce as a result of it. So it's, you know, your bottom line speaks for itself.
Yeah, and just the other two on the panel, I mean, I asked you, what your staff, is there a positive reaction or feedback from your staff in terms of their engagement with the environmental issues you're trying to address, and particularly perhaps, you know, some pride in winning the Vibes Award?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have been incredibly proud as a business, but also as individuals to win the award. And it is something that basically it validates, you know, our mission, our goals that we are trying to achieve with our business. And I think that actually trying to achieve environmental goals or social goals with business as a tool is absolutely not, that this is not a conflict. It's something that goes together, and it's something that I think has to be promoted as well.
Yeah, for us, I think the award, again, it's connected our staff with our values, I guess, and our purpose and what we're trying to do, makes them feel part of the bigger picture, and that they're doing good through their day jobs. So yeah, it's given that validation that, you know, it's not just from myself and the other directors that's what we're doing. Vibes is saying so as well. So it's been great for staff morale and, yeah, just connecting them to the purpose of the business.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay, we've got time for another question. Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Monica Lennon, MSP for Central Scotland and a member of the Net Zero Energy and Transport Committee, so congratulations to all the winners. I'm struck by the words on the banner behind you all, the Vibes Award, recognising the drive for positive and radical environmental action. And it's maybe fair to say that when we speak about the business community, the words radical environmental action are not always side by side. So I just wonder, how each of you communicate those values internally and externally, and if we collectively, as a parliament, don't make the progress we want to make in terms of tackling climate and nature emergency in that road to net zero, what are the main risks to your individual businesses or sectors? Thank you.
Okay, who wants to take that one first?
I'll have a go. Again, it plays out in a number of ways. I go into many forums with colleagues and I start talking in acronyms and I talk in jargon, and they tend to, their eyes glaze over and they tend to leave the room very, very quickly. Thankfully, what we do have is very, very talented marketers and communicators in our business that can translate what, the validation, we follow CDP and we've got a science-based target, and I go in and talk about those things. It just doesn't mean anything to people. We have to make it real, and our internal comms are driving absolute belief in this. The purpose, the vision and values. The tenants, you'll have 3 and 4 generations of the same family that have been there for years. But we're scrambling for that young talent now, and that young talent want to see companies absolutely demonstrate authentic commitments to sustainability. But again, just as a case in point, we ran 2 sustainability campaigns, one back in 2019, talking about the natural ingredients of tenants and why it was a virtue and why it contributed to tenants' quality. And I worked in marketing for a long number of years, and I looked after Tea in the Park and the Tenant Scottish Cup and the Scotland national team, which are absolute people's passions. But those 2 sustainability campaigns that we put out to consumers, it was trying to make a consumer message about anaerobic digestion, but the marketers were able to do that. It delivered some of the highest brand engagement scores that we've ever seen. So it can be done. I'm not saying I'm the best at it by any stretch of imagination, but it just shows that it absolutely can be done.
Catherine, can I ask, picking up on that reference to the radical action, is that what business still see this as, or is it now mainstream? They just need to get on and deliver?
I reckon the honest answer to that is that there's a spectrum, as there is with most of these types of answers. But it's really interesting because we have conversations every day with members around innovation, and my members still tell me they don't innovate, they just survive, they just do what they need to get by, and they're not making that correlation that is innovation. That that is exactly what that looks like. And I think the word radical would probably scare a lot of people off, but actually what we are doing is quite radical. So I'm all for language like that, and I think more power to our elbow if we use it, because it demonstrates again that we're not scared to innovate, we're not scared to lead the way here, and why would we not do that?
Lucas, do you feel you're being radical still?
Yes, I think we are, we are in the built environment, in the heating world. That's currently still more than 90% of our business, and that is actually a sector which is incredibly reliant on steer by government. It's what goes into our homes in terms of heating systems, in terms of hot water systems, is you can literally read off the bill paper, right? And that is something where we are constantly pushing for more radical change, because at the moment sometimes it feels still like we're pushing a boulder up a hill, or actually up a staircase that's going downwards. And we need to reverse the direction, right? We need to make sure that all the policies and all the initiatives are facing upwards and help us get to net zero in our building stock as fast as we possibly can.
You're going to offer a suggestion here while you've got some of our MSPs here to listen to you?
I'm still working on our response to the heat and buildings bill. That is quite radical, and was, by the way, the most readable consultation I've ever seen. So that is also radical, I have to say. No, that has to be said. It was using very clear language, and I think it was understandable by everybody, also by people who are not in the built environment space, and that is radical in itself. In terms of specific actions, set a clear target for when the last gas boiler is going to be installed in Scotland.
You've heard it here first, I think. Scott, are you feeling radical still?
We're feeling radical. Well, I mentioned the new product we're trying to produce from our sort of residual waste. I guess I would say that's radical. Our main range of products, I wouldn't say so radical now, but it has taken 20 years, I'd say, to mature to the stage it's at now and make our business viable. But I was at a sustainable building materials event this morning, and the frustration in the room was really down to certification, accreditation. Indie Nature, who make a hemp-based insulation material, you know, it's taken them 10 years to get BBA accreditation. Kenetech, who make sustainable bricks from waste materials that we supply. And it's a non-fired brick, so it's got really good carbon-saving credentials. Again, they're on a similar time trajectory of 10 years to get accreditation before the construction industry will even contemplate using their products. So I think at a UK level, certainly there has to be more funding for the accreditors to quicken the pace up and get these products to become mainstream.
But also showing some of the innovation that's coming along. I think Kenetech, were they a winner? There was certainly an entry into buying, I can't remember. Last year. Yes, question at the back.
Martin Gray from SEPA. Can I just ask a last question, which is, what's the one thing that keeps you optimistic? And given that we are in the Parliament, what's the one thing that would help your business succeed from your Parliament or your public bodies? What can we do to help?
What's the one thing? Can I start at the far end?
Yeah, something we think about a lot. One of the real challenges that we have, kind of back to this word radical, is if you'd asked 16-year-old me wearing my anarchy wristbands listening to heavy metal, if I was radical, I would have said yes, absolutely, and my parents would have said so too. Nowadays, I think, well, if you're going to do something radical, you have to be able to prove that it's worth it. You have to be able to prove that there's some meat on the bones there. A real struggle that we face in our sector in outdoor and environmental education is that the Curriculum for Excellence, written by the Scottish Government, has a mandate for outdoor education that isn't really supported in schools. Teachers know, I'm talking mainstream teachers in state schools, know that they're supposed to get their children outside for X amount of hours a day. But bless them, they're not outdoor instructors. That's not their degree, that's not their remit, they're not trained, they don't know how to do it. As part of what we do is we try and train them, but honestly, the industry is poorly supported in Scotland. If you go to outdoor centres, people aren't in permanent roles of employment, people are kind of working freelance all across Scotland, and the state of outdoor education in Scotland is not in a good one. Our attempt to solve that has been to structure things, to set it to a curriculum, to set it to a syllabus, to tie it in with the Curriculum for Excellence, to tie it in with the syllabus of the Scottish Government and show that we have key deliverables. We believe that there is a way forward with that, but it's going to be a big uphill battle, and there needs to be some really honest conversations at a government level about how we're integrating outdoor education in a practical way with schools.
Thanks. George?
Martin, I'll answer it a couple of ways. One of the things that's coming down the line is a real positive, but it's going to present nightmares, and it's regulatory reporting, you know, tackle the greenwashing and actually bring real credibility to our claims in terms of what we say we're doing, but the onerous nature of those reporting regulations and the timescale we're talking about, you know, I'll sit here and say Tenets is a small business, but I'm conscious that the company I'm sitting in, but it you know, presents us some real headaches. The other thing I would talk about is capability. You know, we approach the purpose, vision and values piece, and we talk about embedding, and it's how we do business and it's who we are. For many colleagues, they still look at, you know, there's a sustainability team that do this, and it sits somewhere else. The real power would come if we could actually enable and educate and train colleagues to embrace this in everything that we do, and that really would be transformational.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to nip to this end now. Scott, what's what would you want to change?
Environmental taxes. I think we've got two devolved taxes now, landfill tax and the aggregates levy is the bill's been drafted for that recently, and we're lucky enough to have 4 MSPs from the Public Administration and Finance Committee come out to see us yesterday, and got some really good engaging questions from them on whether we should diverge from the UK rate on both the aggregates levy, and the conversation went on to the landfill tax as well. You know, it does seem like we're hitting with a stick with tax rather than dangling the carrot. You know, I did suggest that maybe a sort of tax credit system might be a more positive way of doing things, but it's been proven to work. So yeah, I think we have to increase the lower rate of landfill tax and increase the aggregates levy rate as well.
Okay, it sounds like we're already engaged in that debate.
Yeah.
Those are making decisions. Lucas.
Yeah, so what makes me optimistic is what we're seeing in the world around us at the moment. We are currently involved in a financing round, and we have had incredible feedback from finance on our drive for sustainability and on our work that we do, tracking our emissions and working on towards net zero. And that is something I think that is really going to change the way businesses have to behave in the future, because more and more companies have actually got investment goals aligned with environmental and social and governance targets. In terms of what a thing that Parliament could change, it's always a bit of a minefield with devolved and not devolved powers. One thing that I think that would be probably good, but I don't know if it is fully in the gift of the Scottish Parliament, is to do more so that businesses in Scotland are able to utilise one of the greatest resources that we have, which is the incredibly low carbon electricity that is available here. We have had discussions on and off about different sites for a potential new factory and whether we would be able to, for example, use wind energy directly off the landing cable. So before it goes into the grid, and basically being able to use it without paying for network charges, for example. These types of things at the moment, there's lots of blockers in these. And that would really help to stimulate, I think, innovation and also actually low carbon industry to come and settle in Scotland.
Okay, thanks for that. And Catherine, looking across the spectrum of business, what's your view?
So what makes me optimistic is conversations just like this one, showcasing best practice and hopefully inspiring others to get on board and do more of what's good. I suppose my ask in trying to kind of encapsulate cross-sector, cross-industry asks would be that we are engaged in legislation, regulation and policy development at the earliest possible stage so that we can have really meaningful dialogue. You know, there are experts that we have witnessed tonight firsthand out here with solutions ready to share and bring to the table. So let's make the most of that and work collaboratively and co-design. Would be my key takeaway.
Okay, thanks for that. So I'm going to wrap up there and ask you to thank your expert panel here for all the contributions they've made.
Thanks, Simon, and to all the panellists. What a fascinating discussion, and I certainly learned a lot of useful points from you as a member of the Net Zero Energy and Transport Committee. And I'm very pleased now to introduce Nicole Patterson, the CEO of SEPA, to address you. Thank you.
How to follow what we've just heard. What a remarkable evening. I have to say that in my role as CEO, I have, you can imagine, lots of interactions across an entire spectrum of business, of policy areas, etc. This is without doubt one of the most exciting events which I attend. It's one of the most exciting evenings. And I put that in the context even of the Vibes Awards, which, as you will know, I met many of you at in October. It was an absolute privilege, but it's this deeper dive into just some of the winners of those Vibes Awards that gives us a really clear sense of the passion, of the innovation, of the opportunity that exists in Scotland. And the great opportunity that we have, both tonight and going forward, to really celebrate that success, drive more innovation, drive greater change for the benefit of Scotland. I hope that you've found considerable value in this event tonight, and as we've heard in the judging process. It's obvious from the videos that we've seen shared, the discussion sessions tonight, that our 2023 Vibes Awards, they lifted the bar again. They were exemplary. So well done to you all again. You've demonstrated that you're thinking about the environment, the wider social benefits of your work, and that you can achieve these benefits while delivering business success. They're not mutually exclusive. The innovative approaches that you have taken will act as clear demonstration to others just how they can work towards net zero, a better environment, and create economic growth for Scotland as well. As many of you know, as Scotland's environmental regulator, CEPRA protects and improves the environment in ways which, as far as possible, create benefits to the health and well-being and social and economic growth within Scotland. Vibes is one of the best ways that we can demonstrate the clear link between environment, prosperity, and these wider social benefits. It's a lesson for all of us in the art of the possible. We're very, very proud to work with the very many partner organisations and indeed sponsors, many of whom we're joined by tonight, to grow, to deliver the Vibes event and the Vibes Awards. It's another one of the great privileges that I get tonight to really put a marker down, which, as you heard earlier, we have launched the 2024 Vibes Awards. Businesses now have until the 12th of April to submit your applications, so that's the starting gun has sounded. Full details of the award scheme, as ever, can be found on the Vibes website. The link is there to apply. We've heard tonight how rigorous the judging process is, and you would expect nothing less going forward in this year. I know that much of the value is gained, win or lose, from the rigour of that judging process and the really important feedback that you each get as businesses. My ask of all of you tonight is to spread the word. Spread the words on Vibes, spread the word on these case studies that we've heard tonight, and on the opportunity that the Vibes Awards brings to celebrate success and so many other benefits that we've heard from some of the panellists tonight. The success of Vibes is absolutely due to its partnership approach, and we're grateful to all of the organisations and individuals who give their time, their expertise, to the steering group, to the judging panels, and to the work which is undertaken. Vibes also wouldn't be possible without the support of our many sponsors. Work is underway, this is my pitch now, work is underway in securing sponsors for the 2024 awards. If any of you are in that space, feel free to speak to one of the Vibes team who will be happy to have that conversation with you. I'll conclude tonight by echoing my congratulations again to the 2023 winners, and I hope that once again we'll see the most inspirational entries to our 2024 awards, including from some of you in the audience again, or indeed from your networks. Can I thank the Scottish Parliament for hosting us tonight, to Cabinet Secretary Mary McCallan for her opening remarks, to Ben McPherson for chairing the evening so ably, and to all of tonight's speakers and panellists. And of course, to my own Vibes team involved in the lengthy organisation of the event tonight and across the entire year. But the last word has to go to each of you businesses. You've dared to dream bigger, you've reached higher in 2023, and I very much look forward to seeing your entries for 2024. The rest of the evening is yours to continue that networking, and one of the notable marks of the Vibes events is the buzz that exists in the room and the networking which extends well beyond the formal sessions. So please, the remainder of the night is yours. Go forward, continue the networking, and thank you.